In this video, we're going to learn how to take the foundation chain, single crochet, and double crochet stitches we've learned and put them together to actually start a project. In this example, I will just be making a scarf project. You can see I've got a foundation chain already started. It's a couple of inches wide. And scarves are a good project for beginners because you can choose a width like this and experiment with different stitches as you go, finishing whenever the scarf is the length that you want it. Now to begin, we're going to have to crochet directly into our foundation chain. If you are beginning with a single crochet row, then you're going to count one stitch over from the chain you're on, so you would skip this stitch and crochet into this stitch. If you're doing a double crochet, you'll skip 2 stitches and crochet into the 3rd stitch. This allows some room for the chain to stand up and create your stitches without giving an angle to the top of the project. Now there are 2 ways you can crochet into your foundation chain. You'll notice that one part of the chain is smooth and looks like the tops of the stitches that we're used to crocheting into. The other side is little ridges that are the bottom of the chain. You can crochet into either side of the chain depending on what you'd like the bottom of your project to look like. For this example, we're going to be crocheting into the chain, keeping the ridges on the bottom and the stitches on the top. So I'm going to start with a single crochet row, which means I'm going to skip this first stitch after the loop that's on my hook and crochet directly into the 2nd stitch. When you're crocheting into the foundation chain, you may find it easier to look at it from the bottom and just hook into the little ridge at the bottom of your stitch to get under your stitch here. It can be a little bit difficult sometimes looking from the top of the chain to try to guess where that ridge is. So I'm going to go ahead and just hook into the bottom ridge of my chain there and just make my single crochet as normal. And you can see that the first stitch that I didn't crochet into kind of curves up, giving it a little leeway so that it's not, the first stitch is not at a tight angle. And we're just going to go down the chain and keep crocheting just like we started. So we'll go into the 2nd stitch and work our single crochets and just keep working down the line until you reach the end of your chain. So now you can see, if you look at the bottom, you can see slightly the little ridges here, but it's not really noticeable at the end, especially if you're making a project such as a scarf that you can put something like a fringe on. Now if I want to start with a double crochet, you just unwind here. You need to skip 2 stitches, skip the 1st and the 2nd, so that there's a taller bit sticking up at the end. So I'll go ahead and skip those and go right into this 3rd chain here. Make my double crochet. And just keep going down the line. And you can see I'm turning the chain over to hook the ridge on the bottom because it's a little bit easier to see it that way. And so now that I've got a couple stitches, you can see the 2 chains that I skipped at the end here giving space for the stitch to stand up. If I hadn't skipped those stitches and tried to double crochet right into this first stitch here, for one thing, it's very difficult to get the hook into it because it is the stitch, the chain right next to the loop that's already on your hook. But if I do the double crochet into there, you can see it's getting all bunched up and it's hard to tell which loops are what, and it'll create a very squished first stitch, which won't look good in your finished project. So that's why you want to make sure to count over skipping one stitch for a single crochet first row and skipping 2 or 3 stitches for a double crochet first row, depending on how tight you're crocheting. If you are a tight crocheter, you may want to skip 3 stitches to give yourself a little extra height for that first stitch. If you're a loose crocheter, you should be fine skipping 2. So just to recap what we've learned in this video, once we have our foundation chain, we can start by counting over however many stitches we need to skip. If starting with a single crochet stitch, I can go right into this second stitch here. If starting with a double crochet stitch, I will go either into the 3rd stitch or the 4th stitch, depending on how tight I crochet. So thank you for watching, and make sure to check out our other videos for more tips and techniques.